Hey guys, John Loxley here, back with a new video. This is going to be in the How to Buy a House series. This is about the either the money power of gaming or fiscal responsibility. It's probably going to be a little bit of both. Probably going to be a lot more geared towards general financial health and fiscal responsibility in general, just due to the fact that things are going to get tougher, and some or many people are going to have to choose either between retirement or buying a house. And if they're not aware of that choice, that's a choice that will probably be made for them rather than one that they should make themselves. Um, you're going to hear a lot of squeaking in the background. That's I'm doing laundry and my dryer, I think, needs a bearing that needs to be replaced or something like that. So apologies for that. Also, something I do want to clarify is that as far as buying the house, I didn't do it based on these videos. I make zero money off the channel. I actually lose money. It's from work. I work a lot. I work a lot, 50, 60 hours a week on average. Um, less with the new job because I chose quality of life over money. But back in the old job, it was sometimes up to 80 hours a week. And yeah, you can definitely make a lot of money doing that, but at what cost, for example. So, um, yeah, any questions, comments, concerns you guys have, let me know. I do read all of them. I do try and respond to all of them as well. About 40% of them are black holed by YouTube for whatever reason. But if you have any comments, I will do my best to respond. And video ideas or any things that I don't answer in this, let me know. I will do my best to answer them, or if there's enough things that I missed, I'll make another video. So yeah, it's the big thing about money in general is a lot of people are going to ask, a lot of people in general are terrible with money. You have something like, I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's basically half of people that are 18 and older have less than $1,000 saved for retirement, which is unacceptable. Quite frankly, it's unacceptable. Um, and I've mentioned it in the last video or one of the previous videos where the majority of the people that are at the bottom of the financial ladder are there due to their own actions, right? They're there for a reason, and that reason is usually bad decisions, poor impulse control, stuff like that. It's not a flex. I feel really bad about it, but you got to know your faults if you're ever going to fix them. And unfortunately, like how I did it is not necessarily the correct way, and it's not a one size fits all. It's not going to apply to everybody, but I'm certain the vast majority of people could not do what I did, which is basically live like a poor person and invest all the money that I otherwise would have spent for like 10 years, right? And that gave me enough income to, you know, you gotta put all your assets out there for the lenders to see so they know what to go after if you default on the loan. Jesus Christ, that's loud. It's never been this bad before, but fucking hell. But that's what let me buy or get enough money to afford the house. That and working all the time. So the problem with the current economy and the future economy is that costs are going to go up. Inflation's going to keep rising, wages are going to stay stagnant, and prices are going to keep going up. There's not really a lot you could do about that. Plus, women entering the workforce a while ago made labor cheaper. And so now homes are basically priced for two incomes. They're not priced for a single income anymore. The only way you're going to be able to afford a home is either have two incomes or be really good financially. And with all the illegal aliens and all that coming in, things are going to get even worse because I've heard about them basically getting free homes because votes are being purchased, right? Um, and that's just going to screw the rest of us, right? And I say us because I'm going to be included in that as well. With the economy tanking, that means prices are going to go up, property taxes are going to go up as a result. It's going to get bad. It's going to get bad, and this is partially why I'm making the video, because if you're originally, I wanted to make this video to see if I could do something to help people that I've worked with in the past, like when I was, when I worked at McDonald's for minimum wage. All of my peers, my coworkers, many of them were my friends. How could I help them today, or how could they be helped? And the answer is really, I might not be able to. At least not with the home purchase thing. But like I've mentioned in the past, it's certainly possible to leverage a cheap rental, or maybe get roommates or something like that. And then, like I did, live like a poor person, take all that extra cash and put it into investments. And that's why I said maybe it's going to be a decision between retirement and buying a home, because it's probably going to come down to that for many Americans in the future. And I can't speak about your guys' priorities, but me personally, I don't want to work. I would rather retire than own a home. And towards the end, we're all going to need to be in some sort of assisted living or apartment or condo or whatever. Anyway, it's, me personally, I'm going to get too old to do the repairs in my own house, and I won't be able to afford people coming in to fix everything. And so I'll probably sell the house and move into some kind of managed thing. And for people with a little bit less, it'll be an apartment, but maybe they'll at least have enough to live off of, right? Hopefully they can invest enough and let that grow enough over a long period of time that maybe they don't have to work, or maybe they don't have to worry about really bad stuff. Kevin Samuels, love him or hate him, used to tell these single middle-aged women that were calling in, he'd tell them like straight up, he's like, from 65 to 85, you need 1.2 to 1.5 million. And I assume he would quote different numbers, and I think it was based off of where they lived. And at first I was like, that's silly. But now looking at the economy, if it's not there yet, that's where it's definitely going to go, right? So it's really important that you're financially responsible. And that's the point of the video, right? So we'll get more into it here in a second, but many people, like I said, are bad with money. And I think what they're looking for, especially in a video like this, is just quick tips, right? They want those. I don't see them so much anymore, but it used to be like, scientists hate him. Learn, do whatever with this one weird trick. And it would be, I don't know, they sort of parodied it with the seagull with like the muscle human arms on it or whatever. But that's what people basically want. They don't want to actually do the work. They don't actually want to learn. They're just like, just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. And imagine something difficult, right? Which retirement, if it's not there yet, it's gonna be. Retirement, planning for your future, accumulating. Like, imagine if I told you you needed $1 million to retire, $1 million in the bank. It's probably gonna be more than that, okay? But imagine if it was $1 million. That's a concrete number, right? Not just, oh, I'll depend on Social Security when I get to 65. People don't think. They just think, oh, the government says I retire at this age. That's when I'm going to retire. But they're assuming Social Security is still going to be there, which who knows? But what if the government just decides like, well, we're not going to get rid of Social Security. We're just going to push the age back. Like maybe you won't qualify for Social Security until you're 75, right? Um, I don't want to work until I die. I want to be able to retire. But and imagine you could retire early, right? Or retire at all, but retire early. Like, how would you get to that point, right? You need to plan something long term and then stick to the plan and get there. And that requires a set of skills and discipline that most people don't have. It can be taught, it can be learned. And I think that's really important to state. So even if maybe you're not good with money, honestly, probably like 5% of people actually are good with money. That's just what I would guess. If you know everything in this video, that's awesome. That's seriously awesome. And if you do, leave a comment with something else that you think I didn't cover, or that I don't know, or whatever, because I think that could be really good. And I want to learn everything I can too. But people just want the shortcuts. They don't want to actually buckle down and do what's necessary to get to the goal. I've known people that were like, I'm never going to get to retirement. I'm never going to save enough for retirement, so I'm just going to blow my money. At least I'll have fun. And it's like, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, maybe it's true. Maybe it's true that you won't go there, but you don't know. And especially, you only know that if you've run the numbers. And clearly you haven't, because you think you're not going to make it. And these people are people that are going out to the club every night, blowing all their money, right? But imagine the mindset you need to have is like that of the esports athlete, right? Or the marathon runner, or someone that's doing some sort of training long term to reach some sort of difficult long term goal. And I mention the athletes because that's actually really important in the grand scheme of things. Most people being bad with money, they're like, oh, just give me the tips. Just tell me how to run a marathon. Don't go into all the theory and the boring stuff. Just tell me how to run. Don't tell me about video games. Don't give me the theory behind it. Don't tell me about build orders and stuff, or keystrokes or whatever. Just tell me what to do to win. Just tell me how to beat video games or whatever. You're like, if someone said that stuff to me, I'd be like, you're not the sharpest crayon in the box, are you? Right? You're going to need to be disciplined, and maybe that even won't be enough. Maybe a little creativity is in order. Maybe, man, I don't know. First, by the way, because I haven't mentioned it yet already, and we are going to get to the tips and stuff. There's this YouTuber, Dean and Dunn. Dean is in like the name, Dean. Yeah. And Dunn is in the word, like it's finished, Done. He's a pretty small YouTuber. I don't know how the algorithm recommended him to me, but it did. And he basically has a series of videos where he bought basically a rotted shack in a neighborhood that's gentrifying. And so he bought it and he is flipping it, but it's not a flip, because flips are quick and dirty and you should never buy them. He is renovating the whole freaking thing. And it's really fascinating to watch. And if you're handy, if you're not making that much money, it might be worth something. It might be worth doing something like what he's doing, because he has his videos and he's basically showing the whole process of renovating the entire house. And it is really fascinating to watch. And honestly, that's probably what some people are going to have to do moving forward. The gentrifying area is really important, because there's plenty of homes for sale in the toxic waste part of Detroit. I mean that figuratively, not literally, but like the extremely high crime areas, right? heroin alley or whatever. I don't know. But you would never want to buy one of those because you'd get shot and stabbed, and they take the fillings out of your teeth for crack money or whatever. I don't know. They'd probably just shoot you and steal your sneakers, right? But who knows? So check that channel out. That's pretty good. Ultimately, it will. I've mentioned this before, but the house does need to be sustainable. Property taxes are going to go up, and you will need to have enough to pay for those. And you need to run the numbers after you. If you're going to do the Dean and Dunn example, you really need to run the numbers and figure out what the property taxes are probably going to be once you're done renovating your house, because they'll go up quite a bit. They'll be like, oh, that rotted out shack, that's only worth 35 grand. But now that you renovated it, it's worth, 500,000. And you could be like, oh, well, I will just sell it for 500,000, but then you're still out of a house. But then again, maybe you want to take that money and live in a small ass apartment like I still am, because I haven't moved into my home yet. But you could invest it, I suppose, right? Take that fat stack of cash and just shove it into a mutual fund or something, Right. Anything else before we move into the actual tips? Let me tell you guys my retirement strategy. Okay. Like I said in the original video, the overview of the whole process, I wasn't planning on getting a house. Especially when I saw the power of what renting a small apartment and investing all that money could do. I didn't want a house. I still don't, not really. Well, I suppose every time I walk out into the hallways and see all the dog piss everywhere, that's when I decide, yeah, moving is not such a bad idea. Yeah, that's real, by the way. What sort of drove the final nail into the coffin was when I saw child's footprints, little bear child's footprints, walk through the puddle of dog piss, like leaving wet footprints behind. I was like, yeah, this area has really gone downhill. Anyway, so my retirement strategy is minimalist. It's one of my buddies, he wants to retire and he wants to travel and eat at fancy restaurants, and he wants to buy fancy cars, plural, while he is in retirement. And that's just not me. He makes way more than I do, and I've never had that much money. I also have a scarcity mentality. So it's like, I make sure I eat all of the food. I clean my plate. I look at the cheese, and if it's got mold on it, I'm like, I could save most of that. It's from the childhood, right? And it's really good as far as financial, being thrifty, right? Not spending a lot of money, but it has its drawbacks in other areas, let me tell you. But for me, the goal is just to gain my time back. That's what retirement allows me to do. It's not like, oh, I won't have anything to do. And it's not even to spend my whole time playing video games. It's just to do whatever without pressure. When I got out of the army, I had about a month or 4 to 6 weeks off. I don't remember exactly how much time, but I had like a planner, right? Like a little book. And I opened it up and I wrote every day. I was like, I have one thing to do every day. Maybe it's reorganize one of the bookshelves. Maybe it's do this. Maybe it's do that. And because I had all this time, I wasn't worried about spending 3 or 4 hours of it doing a chore that I know needed to be done. When I'm working 50, 60, 80 hours a week, I might not have 3 hours a day. There's been days not thankfully at this job, but well, actually last Thursday I did it. I went home, I ate something, and I went right to bed. I've come home, jar of peanut butter, take a scoop out of it, eat that. That's my dinner. Go straight to bed. Get up, go back to work. Right? That's not life. That sucks. That's not living. That's, I don't know what that is. So my goal for retirement is just doing whatever I want to do and not worrying about spending my time on chores, having such an abundance of time for myself that I can spend time doing what I want, and wasting time isn't such a big deal. Not bad. I salted my coffee. It's actually pretty decent. I made hardtack a while ago, like survival bread, and it's really salty. It has a high salt content, so it keeps. Man, it's good. It's so hard you have to like soak it in something, so I'd soak it in coffee, and like the combination of salt. It's like a giant saltine cracker, just way thicker, and coffee. It's magical. But I miss it. It's but yeah, so that's kind of what I want. Like my vision of retirement is getting up in the morning before the sun rises, going on a run or a walk or something like that, then going out, sitting in the backyard on the patio or whatever, and just drinking a cup of coffee and watching the sunrise, and then doing whatever. Maybe walking to the library and reading a book for a few hours, or whatever. Playing some games. I thought about, if I do retire and I'm still doing the YouTube thing, I'll probably do that and some streaming, assuming, I mean, Twitch would definitely kick me off, but locals maybe, I don't know. I could definitely do something like that if I had more time. Uh, but just that's the thing. Just something minimalist, something very, very inexpensive. And I kind of like that as well because, like I said, you never know what the future holds, except that it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Things are going to get harder. Prices are going to continue going up. Inflation's going to keep going up. Wages are going to stay stagnant. The house situation is going to get even worse now that all the foreign investors they say like 70% of California's single family homes are being bought by China. Like that's not good. It's not good. Um, and if you're a guy, you've seen the meme of like guys live like this and they don't see any problem. And it's just a chair and a TV and a console. That's dudes, right? We don't need a lot to be happy, right? We just need whatever we need, you know? So, all right, let's talk. Since I did want to talk about the cost effectiveness of gaming and how you can leverage that to, you know, reduce your spending, let's do that. It's been, fuck, this is going to be a shorter video and hopefully we can get there, but it's been like almost 24 minutes. So, first off, don't be a whale. All these people, they're spending money on microtransactions and gotcha games and loot boxes and all that stuff. Don't be one of them. Do not. Um, Freaking, I would say go to maybe some sort of addiction therapy, like Alcoholics Anonymous or something like that. See if they do anything like that for gambling. It's basically a gambling addiction, right? So if you have that, get rid of that because as best you can, because that will drain your wallet. And I would imagine that most of these people probably don't have great jobs either. Unfortunately, lower incomes tend to have, like I said, people with lower incomes tend to have poor impulse control and poor decision making skills, poor discipline, all that stuff. But it can be taught. It can be taught. That's something, try not to lose hope because it can be taught. It's a muscle. It's a habit like anything else. The coffee's making me congested now. Is that how that works? All right. So another thing is, I'm sort of going to be jumping around my notes, But so I mentioned don't be a whale. I'd also recommend focus on your backlog. All these, all the Steam sales that come out. I used to do this all the time. It would be a Steam sale. I'd be like, oh, I want these games. They're all on sale. I'm going to buy them, right? And then I realized I'd play maybe one of them. All the rest would just go in my backlog. And I wouldn't play them. And then I realized that, and I was like, okay, I'm going to stop doing that unless it's a game I really want to play now. I can wait. You know, you could always use, what is it? Curse of Monkey Island as inspiration, like never pay more than $20 for a computer game. You could definitely do that. If you're going to buy them on sale anyway. Don't do AAA. They're not worth it. They're AAA prices, but they're single A quality. Many of them are broken these days. You know, there's day 1 patches, day 0 patches, whatever. Don't, if you absolutely would need one, right? And I would say maybe From Software is the only company that's maybe worth a day 1 purchase. Like they seem to actually give a shit about making a good game and not reaching straight in your wallet, you know. I mean I think that'll change. It'll change eventually, but they're the only one I would give you guys the thumbs up on to purchase. Everyone else, if you absolutely must have that game, you must have the newest Call of Duty or whatever, wait a month. Wait 32 days, right? And I say that specifically because these companies make most of their money in the first month. Generally speaking, they don't always go on sale after that, but they usually do. But also, by holding back, not only are you going to save a little money and maybe help your impulse control as well, but you're also going to encourage them to not put out total shite, right? Most of these people don't deserve the cash, right? I can't condone copyright violations, but legally I can't condone it, but I wish I could. You know, if you don't actually own these games, it's not stealing, right? So just focus on your backlog. That's the point of that. As far as games, there's plenty of free games out there. There's plenty of free games. There's free to play games. Path of Exile being one, and I've actually spent some money on that. Those supporter packs are pricey, or it'll be like $15 for a hat or whatever. It's pricey, but you know, if like I've put almost 1,000 hours into it. I did that because I wanted to burn out my addiction thing. It didn't work, but whatever. So there's plenty of like free to play games. If you don't want to play those, there's plenty of actual free games. There's all these indie devs that are coming out that are either developing their own projects or they're doing stuff to build a name for themselves, or they're testing something, or even some of these game jam games are just fantastic to play. I don't remember any off the top of my head. There's I've done some of them on the channel, you know, for the single servings or the rants and reviews. You could definitely go check those out. Itch.io has a lot of those. And also, there's plenty of free games or giveaways on both GOG whenever there's sales. Speaking of which, I need to check that. Because we're in the spring sale right now, and every 3 or 4 days they're giving away another free game. You just got to make sure you scroll down enough until you see it. And Epic, even though I know everybody loves to hate on the Epic launcher and stuff, I haven't actually installed it yet. But I have created an account, and every week I go in there and I get a free game. And then Christmas time comes around, and they do like the 12 or however many days of Christmas. And I know there's 12 days of Christmas, but I don't know how many they do, how many days they give away games for. But that it might even be the whole month where they give a game away every day. Not just shitty ones too, but decent ones. So yeah, there's plenty of free games out there. There's also, like I said, I can't condone copyright violations, but there's also emulation, right? So that's at least all the tips I have at the moment of leveraging games to reduce your spending. Because if you want to make more money, or if you want to have more money, there's really only two ways to do it, and that's either make more money or spend less money. Hopefully both, right? As far as making more money, the only real tip I could give you guys, it depends on how old you are and if you're willing to switch careers. But at least what I have seen is some of these 2-year medical technologist degrees or programs at least in my city, there's only one college that offers it. um, at least offers the one that I'm in, the field that I'm in, I should say. And I don't mean like medical assistant. I mean like different technologists. Like, I don't know, for whatever reason, the only one I can think of right now is respiratory. Running ventilators and stuff. And those are usually 2-year degrees. They're associate's degrees. But you can make some decent cash, right? Doing those. I have taught. I've taught some of those programs. So, something to consider, right? You have to make sure that you apply yourself though, because they are what are they called? Self-study courses. They're self-paced. Yes, they have tests and stuff like that, but honestly, the course is not. They really should be failing people out. They are not. Most of the people end up quitting actually because they're like, oh, it's this hard, or oh, you guys work this hard or this much or whatever, and we're like, yeah, and you're not even really seeing it, because you do like a year of classroom stuff, and then you do the second year is classroom and on the job training where you go to a local hospital and get taught. I've told people like, get away from me. I'm not teaching you anymore, right? I become, unfortunately, if you're cool, I will teach you everything, you know. But if you just want to talk, if you don't want to study, if you don't want to do your homework or whatever, if you're not willing to learn, if, like I said, if you're one of these people that's just like, teach me how beat video games, right? No, go away. If you just want to do the minimum, because that's not going to teach you. If you just sit there and you're passive, you won't learn anything, right? And you could tell. And these fields are generally small enough that it's like a long-term job interview. If you do well, we'll hire you on the spot. We'll hire you before you're done with the program. But if you suck, they're going to ask you where you go, wherever you apply to. They'll ask us. They'll be like, "Hey, where did you intern at?" And then they'll call us, and we'll be like, "Yeah, don't hire this person." I mean, legally, I don't know if we could say that or not, but we'll never tell you, right? You'll just be like, "Oh, they went with someone else or whatever," right? And that's actually why, at least for some of this, I've started, my opinion now is when they come in, like for the interview, because you actually have to interview them. It's like, okay, tell me how to do this. Give me a step by step. Explain the steps for this process. And they don't know. They don't know what they're doing. They're like, and oftentimes you need your certification to apply, but some of these places are so desperate they'll just hire you, right? Even if you're not certified yet. But yeah, if you suck at the school, you're not going to pass certification. So, and they're expensive. Like my test was like $500 just for, and if you fail, you got to pony up another $500 to take the test. So you better pass it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not easy, but it is good money. It's fantastic money. They'll do you in the ass without any lube, but you make good money, or you can, right? So that's the only tip I have as far as how to make more. And then of course we went over the gaming to reduce your spending, but by the way, before we'll move on to kind of general tips to improve your mental health, which affects your discipline and all factors basically. But um, most people don't know this. When you buy a home, if you're worried about like timing the renting and buying thing, don't don't really worry about the payment, about timing the payment. I mean, because you pay a lot of the stuff up front. Excuse me. A lot of it you pay up front, and then the first month of it depends on when you close, and it depends, I think, on the state. But if you I can't remember if so, I think some states it's after the first week, like the 8th or beyond, and some it's like the 15th or 16th and beyond. But if you don't pay that month, then you pay the next, right? So I closed, and since I closed somewhere in the middle or towards the end of the month, you don't pay the immediate first month. Um, you do, so you don't have 2 weeks to pay. They give you a month before you have to pay, and then it rounds to the following month, right? So I basically got a free 6 weeks where I don't have to pay my mortgage, right? I'm me personally, my rent is overlapping with that, but it's fine. It's fine. So if you're worried about timing the money because money is tight, try give a little bit of breathing room. That's my point. Um, Other just general tips to kind of my philosophy is the better you feel, the better you are mentally, the more likely you are to make better decisions. You're more disciplined, you have a higher tolerance for stress, all this stuff. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. That's why I mentioned the athletes, right? Because especially even the esports athletes, if they're dealing with chronic pain from bad posture, that's going to affect their ability to compete, right? If they have problems, like if they're doing stuff with poor ergonomics, that's going to give them all sorts of repetitive motion injuries and all that, and they're gonna lose, right? So it is in their financial interest to take care of themselves, and not only take care of themselves, but excel. You know. So yeah, I don't have it on my notes, but proper ergonomics, proper posture is important. Me personally, I go for walks, or I try to every morning when I'm not on call. It really helps. I do, I get up at 5 a.m. and I go for a 2 mile walk, and it actually really helps my back. It tones my legs too. I admire them in the shower now. I'm like, ooh, sexy. When I was in the army, we were in El Paso, and there's this mountain, and I guess you run up and down it, and so we do that at 4 a.m. That was freaking miserable. But my thighs were huge. They were like tree. They were bigger than my head. They were tree trunks. And now I look down and I have these tiny little thighs, and I'm just like, oh. But I mean, personally, I'd recommend walking. I'd love to run, but I could just see myself in the dark, just like twisting something. And one of my doctors broke his foot doing that, and so I'm like, I'll walk. I don't. Maybe I'll run, do something like that, but we'll see. I'll walk for now. Um, but the first thing I'd recommend is get better sleep. Sleep is key. Sleep affects everything. If you are, if you have the money, invest in a good mattress. Invest in a good bed. Um, I had a pillow top for a while, and it was nice. You want to look at, depending on how your back is and stuff. There's a lot of signs out there. Um, and honestly, a lot of these mattresses have 100-day return policies. right? It'll probably take you 30, maybe 60 days to get used to it, but then you can really evaluate it. And you want to like mark it on your phone or something, right? Because I bought this mattress and it's a medium firmness, and that's what they said was best for my back. And it does help, but I wonder if a softer one would have been better or maybe a firmer one. And I'm sure, I guess next time I'm going to buy a mattress, I'm going to ask them about their return policy. I'd be like, hey, how many times can I return these? It's not the question they want to hear, but, if they want my business, they'll allow it. Because if I'm like, this is not a bad one, it's like Goldilocks. This one's too hard. This one's too soft. This one's just right. Of course, then maybe they wouldn't allow me to buy one that I returned again or something. But I don't know. I feel like there's a better way. But my mattress isn't bad, but it's medium firmness, and I do wonder. So maybe take advantage of that. But definitely buy a good quality mattress, because you're going to be ideally spending 6 to 8 hours on it per night. And that's really important. Sleep hygiene is super key. I mean, I could do a whole video on that, but we've already been talking for 40 minutes just about money. By the way, I love talking. If you want me to do a video about sleep hygiene, let me know. I just might, actually. So better sleep, mattress. If you have, like, I have sleep apnea and insomnia. So if you try that and you have a hard time sleeping, maybe go get a sleep study. It's the most depressed I have ever been. I know that sounds weird, but after the sleep study, I felt like I failed, and I felt like a failure, and I was the most depressed I have ever been in my life. But don't be, even if you feel like you failed the test, because these people will want to sell you a CPAP, and it might help you. For me, the CPAP, I'm on a CPAP. It took me about 60 days to get used to it. And then even once I got used to it, I'm like, I'm not sure this is helping, because I'd, be struggling to stay awake while I was driving and stuff. And I was so tired from just getting used to this thing on your face. But eventually I did get used to it. And then I was like, this isn't working. And I stopped wearing it. And that's when I got super sleepy again. And I realized it was actually helping. I took so long to get used to it. I didn't realize it was actually working. One of my buddies, he got the sleep study. They're like, we think you could use a CPAP. And they put it on him that night during the test. And he was like, oh my God, it worked immediately. And it was the best thing I ever had. And I was like, I was jealous. But it helps. It helps me a lot. These people are going to want to sell you one. It's worth a shot. See if your insurance covers it. If you don't have insurance, they're pricey. I don't know how much they are, but $3,000, $4,000, something like that. I'm sure different models, and then there's the upkeep costs, because you have to get new masks, new tubes, new filters, all that stuff. But if your insurance covers it, it's worth it. Maybe you can get it claimed as a disability or something. I don't know. So better sleep is huge. Eating properly also is really important. And I know that sounds really stupid, but it is. I don't really know Asmongold, but I always see clips of him drinking soda from one of those fast food plastic cups. And that is maybe the worst thing you can do. Soda in general is terrible. And I'm pretty sure the artificial sweeteners are even worse. Which is saying something. But my recommendation would be do something. I don't like the term diet, because it's been misused to be like a temporary thing. But when I say diet, I mean like nutrition, like long term. You need to change how you eat, because most gamers eat fast food, and got to be honest, I love myself a good burger and fries. That's like, it's amazing. But You got to kick it. You got to kick the habit. Go low carb. I went low carb. I lost 40 pounds. I started sleeping better. I just felt better in general. My tolerance for stress was way higher. I used to get hunger pains. Like my stomach would hurt if I didn't eat every like 2 hours. I went low carb and those are gone. I still get hungry, but I can go a long time without eating now. And I mean, sometimes I have to for the job, so that's good. But yeah, I feel way better. And like I said, when you feel better, you make better decisions. So give it a try. See if you can do it for 30 days. Especially if you're into the sweets and the snacks and the candies and all that stuff, you might get headaches because you're going to go into sugar withdrawals, but it's really worth it. It's super worth it. And it saves you money too, because I eat way less now. And I eat about what I eat in like a week now. I used to eat in basically 2 days. I would eat so much food. And like I stopped doing it before all the grocery prices went up. Like they've basically doubled or tripled. Yeah, I can't even imagine how much money you would save just by reducing what you eat. And you don't have to. That's why I say go low carb, because you can still eat like bacon and stuff, but it depends. I'd either recommend something like low carb or paleo, because paleo is, you want to be able to cook the food yourself. You want to, the less processed the food is, the better, right? So that helps with finance as well. Um, I mentioned embracing the minimalism. If you're a dude, I think that's something you can do. If you're a woman, it's going to be way harder because women are very materialistic. It's just facts. Don't be a hater. Listen to your feelings. You know it to be true, right? Women love shoes, man. That's it. I would also say don't get married, because women make 80% of the spending decisions. Either they spend 80% of the money, or they direct where it to be spended, right? So if you're a dude, don't get married. People are talking about like, oh, I'm gonna give up on Western women. I'm gonna go be a passport bro, or whatever. Don't do that either. Just do your own thing. You know, women aren't gonna make you happy. If anything, they invite drama. They can bring happiness, but that comes from you, not it's not an intrinsic thing from them. It's like finding a person that you love, you know, whether it's like platonic love or familial love or whatever, right? I think that is basically it. Just going over my notes real fast. I don't think I missed anything. This was both longer and shorter than I kind of wanted it to be. Um, but I think we hit everything. I think we hit everything. That's basically my money talk. Um, you could definitely try what I did, which is live like a poor person. Um, I basically I got the smallest apartment I could that met my needs. That was good, right? You want a good one. You don't want some shithole. You want a good apartment, but it's small. It's like 600 square feet. You know, like I mentioned, the cabinets. I have 4 cabinets basically. I had to throw all my plates and pots away. I mean, Goodwill, but so I basically go to work. I come back. I cook my own food and play video games and just one of my buddies keeps harping on me because I don't have a PS5 or whatever. He's like, you play all those old games. It's like, yeah, dude, I have a long ass backlog. I want to get through it. You know? So what if I haven't played the newest God of War? Whatever. I'm sure it's fine. It's great, but you know, I don't need to spend $600 basically on a couple of games. Um, Anything else? Like I said, I go to work, come home, do whatever, It's a very minimalist lifestyle, and that's what I want. That's definitely what I want. Um, and man, like I said, it's going to keep getting worse and worse. I think this coffee is making me congested. Strange. Maybe it's the salt, actually, or or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's something else. Either way, though, it's cool. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think. That's it for today. Thank you guys so much for your attention. By the way, thanks for your time and your attention, because I really do appreciate it. I mean, I think about stuff like this all the time because I'm like, why don't people know this stuff? It makes me crazy. You know, I think about it all the way when I'm driving to work, when I'm driving back, when I'm at work. I'm like, why are people so terrible with money? I don't understand it. But I mean, I get it as well. It's like, as much as I'd like to play the newest game and all that stuff, I'm okay. I'm content doing my own thing, right? It's just don't you can't fall into the crowd. You really need to find people. It's super important, especially when you're trying to kick a habit or make good habits. You need to find a person that has the same goals as what you're trying to do, right? Because the average person will tear you down. It astonishes me as well, not just how bad people are with money, but I was talking to my coworkers about, buying a house. And they're haters, dude. The money thing, right? Houses 4 years ago, before COVID, some of the houses have doubled in price. Some, I mean, this is why I like Zillow, because they showed the graph, the Zestimate over time. Maybe it's not accurate, but you could see the jumps. You could see the price spikes, right? So houses now are at least half as much, right? A $200,000 home is now $300,000. A $400,000 home is 600,000 at least. Maybe it's even more. It depends on the area, but and so I mentioned how much houses were, and people were like, "Oh, big baller over here." It's like, I don't want to pay that much. I would love to pay half of what I paid, but half gets me, a 50-year-old home in the ghetto. And that's not what I want. I don't want to get shot. That would be nice. Thank you. Right? So you're going to get, especially once if you start doing well, people will try and tear you down. Do not talk about money with people that are not good with money. Okay? They do not understand, because to them, being good with money is luck, because they don't understand like the consequences of their own actions. It's really, yeah. You'll see. You'll see if you actually if you're not doing well and you start doing well, you'll see. And by the way, if you don't spend your money, people won't know. Wear old clothes. Don't buy new clothes. Don't be like, "Oh, I got all this money, I'm going to spend it." No. Drive whatever car you have. Once it's paid off, keep driving it. Drive it until it falls apart. That's how you save money. Stuff like that. Oh, take care of your stuff. I mean, that's such a small tip. Most people probably don't even consider it, but it's like, if you take care of your stuff, most people don't take care of their stuff, right? They buy cheap shit and they don't take care of it. And then they have to throw it away and get new stuff. And it's like, if you take care of your stuff, it'll last, and then you hold on to it. People are like, "Oh, you have an old phone." It's like, no shit, I have an old phone. I also have an extra $1,000. It's like, you just bought a new phone, and you just bought the newest phone, and you just bought a new phone 6 months ago. My phone may be 5 years old, but it still works. You know, That's all I gotta say. But anyway, yeah, that's it for today, guys. Really, seriously, thank you so much for your time and attention. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. Give me some thoughts. You know, if you liked it, give me a like. If you didn't like it, give me a dislike. Either way, please leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought. I do want to know. Some people are just haters, and that's fine too. But seriously, I want to. Like, I'm not the leader in this. You know, I just do. There's a direction I want to go, and I go in it, and then I try and bring people with me. You know, if I see they're falling behind, and some people, like the people I left behind in my old job, they fucking hate me now. Motherfucker fucked us. It's like, dude, you don't have to stay at that shithole. You could have come too. There's still positions where I'm at, but I mean, not anymore. Those aren't open for you. Now that I know you're talking shit, you didn't have to talk shit. I was holding my hand out. I literally was like, "There's open positions. Come apply." Yep, people are haters, but seriously, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. But that's all I have for today. Hope to see you guys next time. Till then, guys, take care.